It's about that time of day again. My name is Joseph James. Today's Tuesday evening, November 29th, 2016. This is your nightly newsletter. We're covering crude oil, S&P, gold, euro, and the FDAX this evening. Crude is bearish and trading with a spike in range ahead of tomorrow's highly anticipated OPEC meeting. E-mini S&P is range bound and trading at the low of a range, trying to finish rotation back to the high of the range tomorrow. Gold is bullish, coming off the low of a multi-day channel and trying to retest the highs after today's contract rollover. The euro is also bullish and trying to finish rotation to the highs of the channel. And of course, the FDAX is bullish and trading at the high of a wide, almost flat bull channel, telling us that both sides have big opportunities tomorrow. As always, got another great newsletter in store for you guys and gals tonight. We got plenty of reliable trading opportunities and a solid plan of attack for tomorrow. Before we jump into our charts, though, I do want to remind you, the only place to watch the full-length version of this video is here in our blog at Sideways Markets. If you're on the YouTube channel right now, not to worry. There's a link in the description of that YouTube video. Follow that link and come join me here on the blog for the full-length version with all the markets and all the analysis here on the blog at Sideways Markets. While you're here, don't forget, join the mailing list. I'll send you an email every evening when our nightly newsletter goes live. Below the video tonight, you can download all the charts from tonight's video, along with all the commentary that goes along with today's video recording. Grab those charts below the video. In the upper right-hand corner, don't forget to grab your free pass. If you're not a member here at School of Trade and you're wondering what all the commotion is all about, grab that free pass in the upper right-hand corner and join the trade room as a guest this week. Right below that free pass, if you're brand new here to the SOT community, we get a great frequently asked questions page to give you the who, what, where, when, and why. We're known as the industry leader in day trading education. And I'm always here to answer your questions every step of the way. Hit me up on that live support button on the right-hand side of the website. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. Boy, oh boy, tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow is the day. It's like Christmas for crude traders right now. Oh, also S&P. I can't forget about the S&P. The S&P's been kind of piggybacking on crude all year this year. Next up here tomorrow, we got Wednesday, November the 30th. Is that maybe a bit of a drum roll there, if you can hear that in the background? Lots of great effects here coming in. We talked about this last night. End of the month, we're expecting more volatility. Was there enough action for you today on the crude market? Boy, we're expecting some pretty good movement today on crude leading up to tomorrow's OPEC meeting tomorrow morning. So end of the month tomorrow, increased volatility, and we have that highly anticipated, we feel as if we've been waiting for this for months now, right? This highly anticipated OPEC meeting, which finally tomorrow we're going to find out if they're going to put up or shut up about this production cut. Today was great. Today was great listening to the back and forth between the Saudis and the Iranians. We heard from Russia. It was just what if it doesn't get any better than this, right? Back and forth, the soap opera has been going here for OPEC, and tomorrow we're going to hopefully tomorrow figure out what the heck they want to do there among the OPEC nations. Now, tomorrow, what you want to remember is this meeting is going to start real early London time. So by the time we get together in our trade room tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time, we will have either just heard about it or we're going to be kind of getting into that time we should start hearing from OPEC. In most examples of these meetings, in most OPEC meetings, you're going to be hearing about this throughout the morning tomorrow. So we're going to be keeping our eyes and ears open tomorrow, listening for news reports coming out of the OPEC meeting tomorrow. But again, usually this meeting is wrapped up relatively early when it comes to the U.S. trading session. So by 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock tomorrow, we should know what's going on. As always, I'll be right here with you guys tomorrow in my trade room in real time at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and we're going to do it all together. So end of the month and the big OPEC meeting tomorrow, you know how I said earlier, right? Expect more volatility because of it, and we'll do with all of our students tomorrow morning. Now, as of the news tomorrow, got a bunch of real minor stuff coming out of London. I think everyone's going to be listening in to that OPEC report tomorrow morning in London session. We got the inflation index there at 5 a.m. What else do we got here? We got the GDP from India at 7 a.m. I don't expect much of that to be a big deal as we rotate through, right, the U.S. morning sessions. We got 5 a.m. finishing up London. Going to the U.S. session, we get the ADP employment number at 8:15, 8:30 personal income. I don't expect this number at 8:15 to be too big of a market mover, but I do expect the personal income there at 8:30 to be something worth watching. As we go later in the morning, we get 9:45, 10 a.m. news. Those are minor reports there. The big report, of course, can be down here at 10:30 a.m. for the petroleum status report. Tons of news here tomorrow. So again, 10:30 a.m. tomorrow for the petroleum status report. So looking back at this here, we've got that 5 a.m. news tomorrow. Again, 5 a.m. news, right, if you're trading London. And then, of course, we have the 8:30 news in the U.S., right? I'm not going to worry too much about Chicago PMI or pending sales at 10 a.m., but I am going to pay very close attention to that 10:30 a.m. inventory report. What better day to have an OPEC meeting than on inventory day? Don't forget the 15-minute heads up on inventories. 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. I never like to recommend messing with that inventory report tomorrow, so be aware of that 10:15 cutoff ahead of the inventory report on crude oil. And don't forget, the inventory report used to only affect crude oil, but now everybody's watching the price of oil these days, and so it does have a lingering effect on the other markets. So be aware, it's not just the crude market anymore. It's going to bleed into the S&P 500 and all of the other equity indexes, and of course the dollar index, depending on how this thing works right after the OPEC report tomorrow. Bottom line, we'll be doing it all with you guys tomorrow morning in real time. We'll talk more about tomorrow evening's news right when we get there tomorrow. So come join me tomorrow morning in real time in the trade room, and we'll do it all together, right? So a bunch of news here tomorrow, 5 a.m., 8:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m., and again, that last day of the month, and of course, the OPEC report. Let's jump in. We got a lot to cover here tonight. Crude oil, bearish, trading lower here today with a spike and range this evening after barely missing that quadruple measured move ahead of tomorrow's OPEC meeting. Boy, did we play that market like a fiddle today in the trade room. What a great session we had today with all of our students in the trade room. Had to quickly grab that target too, if you recall. Just barely missed that quad measured move. Missed the target by one tick in the trade room today. So had to quickly grab that thing as it collapsed here. What a great day we had. A great week so far this week in the trade room. So the bears have control, but they won't be interested in selling this low. So the most reliable selling opportunities, and we see a situation like this, will likely occur up at resistance levels overhead, such as the high of the range, the reversal line up there at 46.02, and of course the battle zone level overhead. If price does push lower, right? So the sellers want to sell high right now. If the price does push lower, again, we got a big news report coming out tomorrow. Our goal will be to use traps to avoid selling at the lows. So stay patient if price goes lower tomorrow without giving us a chance to sell high. Buyers, on the other hand, heads up. If you want to be a bull tomorrow, got to stay patient and wait for a strong move higher that can hold a pullback before we can even consider buying this market tomorrow. Looking great here. Boy, what a great day today on crude oil. And of course, you can see a couple key components here. First of all, you got that bear channel. Right, that bear channel was our guide for most of the morning, the early parts of the morning session this morning. And then, of course, that bear channel, right, they were able to retest that low. So the bears got it out of their system. If you're a student of mine, we know market personality, we know market psychology, and we know when we see a bear channel, right, we're gunning for, right, a retest of that low. That, of course, then leads into what I look at as a spike in range. And so this is, of course, now the actionable information here going for tomorrow. Here are two things that you want to be thinking about, right, when it comes to a spike in range. First of all, the spike down tells you, right, to be looking for selling opportunities. Let's get that back here, right? So spike down into that spike in range. Now, what you want to be thinking about is there are two spots that you want to be thinking about when it comes to trading a spike in range. First of all, anything that goes up, I want to sell it back down, right? So that's the obvious part, right? Go up, sell the high of that spike in range. Now, sometimes though, the trend is so strong that we don't even get any relief, right? We don't get the price off of that low, and all we get is this price breaking down, right, to the downside. Now, when we find ourselves at the lows of this range, this is where you want to be thinking one of two scenarios. First, if the breakdown is extremely strong, and the way I always describe this is, if you have to ask somebody, is that strong enough? It's probably not strong enough, right? So when I say it needs to be a real strong breakdown, it needs to feel like there is nothing standing in the way of these sellers. So I always want to be thinking strength, right, as it breaks down. Unless we see that real strong, right, forceful move through those lows, then we want to be thinking traps. So once we break down, be thinking about traps. In other words, I don't feel confident just selling that pullback because that's going to be a lower reliability trade. It'll want to sneak back up into that range. So what you want to do is look for traps. And what I mean by that is, see that strong push down, look for a little bit of consolidation, and then that's where you're going to want to be looking for those traps, right? Trap high and then back down. That's going to give you a chance to sell high, right? Got to wait for kind of the rest of the market to catch up to it, right? So strong breakdown, look for some consolidation, and then trap high, right? Look for that sell off of that high. It's very similar to what you see at the top of that range, right? It allows me to participate, but whatever I do, just don't sell it as it's coming back, right, as it's breaking down. Because if you sell it as it's breaking down, right, chances are it's going to go right back up into that range, exactly like we saw earlier on in today's session, right? You don't want to sell that breakdown, and obviously in that example, it just kind of shot right back up. So as a seller right now, I want to go up and back down. I've got my eyes on the high of that range. I have my eyes on this beautiful untested reversal line at 46.02, and really this whole area, really this whole area. It won't be until we get above that battle zone and hold these buyers can actually start thinking about this. So sellers up and back down, sellers down, right? Look for that consolidation, down, look for that consolidation, right? Trap high, right, and then back down from there. Again, the key is strength to the downside, right? Don't accept anything like this where it just kind of pokes its head lower, right? I want to see it go and really run. Then you know we've disconnected from that trading range. What are we thinking about right now to be a buyer right now? What are we thinking to be a buyer right now? Well, this is where buyers can play a little bit aggressive as price goes lower, right? We see those sellers fail and back in, right? If we don't see a strong enough breakdown, again, it'll be a bear market at this point. So being a buyer at that point will be lower reliability, right? But when sellers get stuck on the wrong side of the market trying to sell that low, it can be a real easy move back up to that high. That's one option for the buyers. And really, in my opinion, it's not going to be unless we can see a breakout and hold above that 46 area before we can even start thinking, right, about getting this price to the upside. Remember what I always say, when the market looks very strong in one direction, I'm not going to have very much luck trying to call a reversal. So wait for the price to show proof of the reversal. That way you get a much more reliable opportunity and you can take this. There's plenty of room here to go back up and retest that high. If this thing reverses, it's going to go back up and run towards that 47. So take your time, wait for the reversal. Again, strong move higher because anything that goes higher here, obviously pending tomorrow morning's news report from OPEC, right? Anything that goes up here is likely going to be seen as a selling opportunity. It won't be until it can break and actually hold, right, and stay above that area, that's when we can start feeling more confident about being a buyer. And everybody else will be excited about being a buyer as well. Let's keep going here. We go from the crude. How about some S&P? S&P's range bound and trading at the low of the range this evening, which tells us to look for buying opportunities off the lows using the 2-try rule. Right? Did we not talk about this in last night's newsletter? My exact words in last night's newsletter was, I would love to see it go to a new lower low and then buy that sucker right back up. It's exactly what we saw today. We saw the price go back to the high of the range, 1 try, 2 try, and back down in. So bottom line is we're looking for more of the same coming in tomorrow's session. One thing buyers want to keep an eye on is that hidden channel just below the low of the range, which would give us a great buying opportunity just outside the range using the 2-try rule with a target going back to the high. Our strategy for trading with the range is to buy the low, sell the high, avoid the middle, and focus on failures tomorrow until we get a strong breakout that can hold the pullback and develop into a new trend. This is a very similar situation we saw on crude oil, right? Just don't sell low or buy high right now. Beautiful example of buyers buying.